Hello! With the general election happening tomorrow, DC employment solicitors have produced a report to summarise the key policy statements and pledges relating to employment law that have been made by the main national political parties in their respective manifestos. In yesterday's episode, I looked at the Conservative Party's manifesto promises. In this episode, we'll take a look at what the Labour Party has to say, and we'll finish off first thing tomorrow with a videocast summary of the manifesto pledges from the Lib Dems, UKIP and the Green Party. The aim of this video is to give a very quick overview of what the parties are actually saying, along with an analysis of the potential challenges that they might face in implementing some of the policies if they get into power. I hope you enjoy these short video summaries of our report, which we still seem to be insisting on calling a critical review of the alternative policies, despite spotting our acronym-based faux pas yesterday. Please don't throw anything at the screen. Anyway, let's have a look at what the Labour Party has to say. The Labour Party has published 3 manifestos that deal with its proposals which impact on employment law. In them, Labour has pledged to improve pay and job standards in the workplace, with an emphasis on reversing the insecurity, low pay and undercutting we have seen in recent years, and putting an end to the race to the bottom on wages and skills. So, let's have a look at them in detail. One area that has certainly been closely monitored by employers and employees, and employment lawyers for that matter, in the run-up to the election is Labour's proposals to change the controversial Employment Tribunal fee regime. The Labour Party's view on the fee system is pretty clear. They said the introduction of fees of up to £1,200 for Employment Tribunal claimants has failed. It represents a significant barrier to workplace justice and has failed to raise any money. However, Labour's plans about what it will actually do to address what it calls insecurity and unfairness in the workplace is slightly less clear. Although Labour has said that it will abolish the tribunal fee system to ensure, in their words, workers have proper access to justice, it remains unclear whether it plans to eliminate the fees altogether, or whether they will introduce a new system where some, perhaps lower or reconfigured fees, will still apply. The Labour Party has made it clear that if it wins the general election, it will ask ACAS to oversee the reform process led by the CBI and the TUC. Labour has proposed to raise the national minimum wage to more than £8 an hour by October 2019 to bring it closer to national average earnings. The Labour Party has also intimated that it might increase the maximum fine to £50,000 for employers who avoid paying the national minimum wage, and close the loophole which allows agency workers to be paid less than the national minimum wage. In addition, the manifesto says that the Labour Party will consider strengthening the enforcement of the national minimum wage by giving local authorities a role. The Labour Party has also said that it will consider extending the power of HMRC to recover unpaid holiday pay and the non-payment of statutory sick pay and statutory maternity, paternity and adoption pay. Interestingly, Labour has said that it will empower the Low Pay Commission to identify sectors that can afford to pay more and set up industry-led task forces to raise productivity and pay. Labour's proposed that the first sector task forces would focus on social care. Labour has also pledged to introduce new Make Work Pay contracts, which will give tax rebates to companies that commit to pay the living wage in the first year of a Labour government. In addition, the Labour Party has said that it will require publicly listed companies to report on whether they pay the living wage, and also use government procurement procedures to promote payment of the living wage. The Labour Party's policy on 0 hours contracts states that it will ban the exploitative 0-hour contracts that have become the norm in some parts of our economy. Labour has pledged that workers who work regular hours in their first 12 weeks of employment should be given a regular contract. The manifesto also refers to introducing new legal rights for workers on 0 hours contracts to stop employers forcing workers to be available at all times or cancelling shifts at short notice without compensation. Labour intends also to remove the so-called Swedish derogation from the agency workers regulations. For anyone who hasn't heard of this, basically, the Swedish derogation provides an exemption from the right to equal treatment on pay for agency workers who've got a permanent employment contract with an employment agency and are paid a minimum amount between assignments. In practice, this means that agency workers could be paid at a lower rate than permanent employees, and the Labour Party considers that some employment agencies are exploiting this loophole by paying agency workers the lower rate even though they work regular shifts. Labour has also said that it would ban employment agencies from recruiting exclusively from abroad, and it's also pledged to introduce measures to improve rogue agencies who exploit their workers by cutting wages and conditions, by introducing a series of measures including a licensing system. Labour's plans to support young people at work include a requirement that every firm that wins a major government contract to offer apprenticeships for young people, the introduction of a new apprenticeship guarantee to give all 18-year-olds who achieve the right grades access to a high-quality apprenticeship, and a requirement that large firms which recruit skilled workers from outside the EU must also offer apprenticeships in the UK in return. In relation to equality matters, the Labour Manifesto says that a new Labour government would require large companies to publish their gender pay gap. Labour's also pledged to create a race equality strategy to ensure that public institutions such as the police and the judiciary are more representative of black and ethnic minority communities. Although it's not mentioned in the manifestos, the Labour Party had previously made pledges to require companies with more than 250 employees to publish the average pay of men and women at each pay grade, and also to introduce laws to give equal rights for self-employed individuals. The Labour manifestos also refer to a number of other changes to employment law if it gets into power, including a review of TUPE, a reversal of the Shares for Rights scheme that introduced employee shareholders in 2013, and a reversal of the law that says that employers can't be liable for the harassment of its employees by third parties. Finally, Labour has said that it will guarantee a paid job for all young people who've been unemployed for 1 year, and for all those aged over 25 who've been unemployed for 2 years. Although a refusal to take the job would result in a loss of benefits. And last but by no means least, the Labour Party has said that it would consider introducing compulsory profit sharing legislation, which would require any company with more than 50 employees to set up a profit sharing scheme to reward employees with a cash sum based on the company's profits. Well, there you have it, the Labour Party's manifesto promises affecting employment law in a nutshell. If you missed yesterday's video summarising the Conservatives' pledges, you'll be able to watch by following the links that I'll give you in a second. If you want to see what the Lib Dems, UKIP and the Green parties are, please tune in tomorrow to our Election Day final episode of this series. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed our second instalment of our Manifesto report. If you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more updates, click here. If you want to follow us on our fantastic Twitter page, which gives you a daily heads up about everything employment law related, click here. Or if you want any more information or help, please go to our website by clicking here. All the links are also below. Once again, thanks for watching and see you next time.